So as you guys know, Audi has a very large lineup of vehicles, but none of them is as important as this Audi Q5. This continues to sell at twice the volume of the next nearest Audi, and it continues to be one of the best-selling offerings in the entire class. That's why we're out at Audi of Lexington today to check out this latest 2020 example. And of course, if you're in the market for any new Audi, make sure you stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with that all said, let's go ahead and see what's changed for 2020. So getting started here with the exterior design. This generation of the Q5 has been on sale for 3 years, so we're not quite at the refresh year yet. That's going to be next year. So needless to say, there's not been a great deal of changes here to the exterior design. So what you'll be looking at is the traditional single frame Audi grille. Most of the models come with this configuration, which is silver, but starting last year they added a black optic package, so you can get that if you prefer that blacked out look. As far as your headlights are concerned, most of the models do come with this fully LED setup, but if you go for the base model, you will have xenon bulbs instead of these LEDs. Now, that's not to say that there's been no styling updates at all, since you do have some new wheel options for 2020. Now, all the standard wheels, they've actually been changed out for new designs. So if you go for the premium model, you have what they're calling an 18-inch turbine wheel. And then when you go for the Premium Plus, the Prestige, you get these wheels here with this new 5-spoke design, replacing the previous version. However, if you don't like any of these options, you still have available these same two 20-inch optional wheels, one of them with the black optic package and one of them standalone option. And then coming up here to your mirrors, they are of course power adjusting and heated on all models. However, you will have to get at least the Premium Plus or the Prestige trim if you want power folding, auto dimming, or the blind spot monitoring built into the back of the mirror itself.
Alright, and checking out the rear design of the 2020 Q5, you are once again not going to find any changes this year. So you are going to still have the Audi signature clamshell tailgate with your full LED taillights. It actually does also have the dynamic turn signal that moves across with the blink. And you will also have your dual integrated exhaust pipes down below. However, do keep in mind that these are fake exhaust pipes and this is not the actual tip. And moving on to the safety systems, you are going to find an update for this 2020 Audi Q5. So last year you had standard forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection across all of the models. And new for 2020 is that you now have auto high beams as standard equipment as well. Another change for 2020 is now that the driver's assistance package is offered on the Premium Plus trim or standard on the Prestige model, and that includes lane keeping assist as well as Audi's adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assist. But anyway, guys, that pretty much sums up all of the features for the outside of the Q5. So now let's go ahead and hop inside and see what's changed in there.
So walking up to our 2020 Audi Q5, you will continue to find their smart entry system on the Premium Plus and Prestige trims, as well as the Premium model if you opt for the convenience package. Of course, this is the typical Q5. It's not the newest version, but it does look pretty much the same with the piano black and the real metal trim. Of course, getting inside, all you have to do is just reach behind the handle since there is a sensor, and it will open right up. Now, like I already mentioned, this is not a refresh year for the Q5. So like the outside, the interior is going to remain mostly the same, but there are some differences as far as equipment changes. But first, let's go ahead and talk about the interior material and color options. So of course, like every Audi, you will have standard real leather seats and a variety of colors. So you've got the choice between black, Atlas beige, rock gray, or this nougat brown. And then as far as your interior trim pieces, you have a few different choices: dark brown walnut, gray oak, or natural brown ash. However, it is noteworthy that for 2020, the aluminum option has been eliminated. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is very nicely finished. You do have a nice leather padding here with stitching detail. This comes on the Premium Plus and Up, which is new this year. You do have the open pore wood through here, which looks very nice. Real metal door handle. You have 2-person memory seating on your Premium Plus and up. And then all 4 of your windows are one-touch automatic. Going down here to your seat, it is 12-way power adjusting with your 4-way lumbar support. Now, in regards to this seat, there is something a little bit different about this. When you go for the warm weather package, you get what they call the sport seat. It'll give you thicker bolsters, a little bit different design, as well as manual thigh extension. Obviously, we don't have that, so this is just the standard leather seat. Now, as far as your interior material quality is concerned, it does remain typical Audi high quality. So across your upper dash here, this is all a soft touch plastic. And then dropping down to the middle, you have more of this beautiful open pore wood that runs all the way across the entire middle portion, as well as some more down here on your center console. Over here on the center tunnel, you do have the leatherette with the stitching detail. Like I already said, this is newly standard on Premium Plus for 2020. And of course, in typical Audi fashion, everything fits together absolutely seamlessly. Now you do have push button start located right here. Now, of course, what you're looking at here is Audi's 12.3-inch virtual cockpit system. This comes standard on all but the Premium Q5, and it does work the same way as in other Audi products. You got all these different sections you can scroll between. You can press that and you can minimize it down, and basically you'll see the full Google Earth maps when that's enabled. Right now we just have the regular map enabled. Now, in addition to that, if you went for the Prestige level model, you would also have a head-up display, but this is the Premium Plus. Now, coming back to the steering wheel, of course, we have electric power-assisted steering, and you do have a nicely leather-wrapped steering wheel. As far as features here, the heating, this comes in the cold weather package. And the steering wheel itself is manual tilt and telescoping until you get to the Prestige level, where it will become power adjusting. You do also have standard rain sensing wipers on all models, as well as standard paddle shifters. Alright, so now let's go ahead and talk about storage inside of this 2020 Q5. So we'll open up the center console here. You can see you have a pretty good amount of space, not super deep, but it is decent. We have a USB port and an aux jack. This piece here, this is a wireless phone charger on your Premium Plus and Prestige level models, and you can slide this backwards to unveil your 2 cup holders. Up in front of that, we have a slender little spot right there, and then we have another small shelf up in the front with another USB and a 12-volt outlet. Now, as far as the shifter, this is Audi's typical electronic shifter. So you just pull back for drive, you bump to the right to shift manually right here or via those paddle shifters that I was just pointing out. And then for reverse, you just push all the way up to the top. And this will be your standard backup camera on both the Premium and the Premium Plus models. Now, over here we have our parking sensor visualization. Those are optional on the Premium model via the new Convenience Plus package for 2020. And if you went for the Prestige level, that's where you'll get the 360-degree camera system. And then for park, you're just going to press the P right on the end, and you do have an electronic parking brake right next to that. Alright, so just moving on, our next thing we arrive at here is the audio system. So on your Premium and your Premium Plus, the standard system is 10 speakers. But on the Prestige, as well as optional on this model, we've got the 19-speaker Bang & Olufsen 3D sound system. So let's go ahead and take a sample of that. Sound quality of this system is just as good as Bang & Olufsen systems usually are. And then as far as your climate controls, this is your standard 3-zone automatic setup. It retains the same really simple and really intuitive buttons where you can basically push down, see a preview, and then push up and down. It's all located physically right here. Then off to the side, you have your 3-stage heated seats. These are standard across all the models, but for ventilation, you would have to add the warm weather package. Alright, so now we're up here at our MMI display. This is the 8-inch display, the 8.3-inch display. The standard model does come with a smaller 7-inch display, however. And then as far as the software, this is the kind of older style MMI. Of course, we're kind of being replaced with the MMI touch response. That should be added to this car next year when it is refreshed. But as far as how this operates, it is not a touch display, so you just use the little wheel down on the dashboard. So this is your navigation system. This is included on the Premium Plus and the Prestige. And as you can see, I have now enabled those Google Earth maps I was talking about earlier, which are, remain incredibly detailed. And then the last thing I want to point out on this short journey through the system is your connection manager. This is where you can connect both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay standard across the board. Going on up here, we do have an auto-dimming mirror, frameless design with the compass, and then your HomeLink universal remotes are mounted right there. And we also have a panoramic moonroof. This is standard on the Premium Plus and the Prestige levels. And as you can see, it is very large. But anyways, guys, that is going to sum up all the things to point out in the front part of the cabin. So now go ahead and hand it off to my brother Mason to check out the back areas.
So hopping into the rear seat of the 2020 Audi Q5, you are of course going to find a very family-oriented rear seat with a lot of features, since this is of course a luxury vehicle. So as far as how Audi equips it, you are going to have standard rear air vents across all of the models, as well as your own climate controls. This is a tri-zone setup, so you can adjust your temperature back here. And in addition to that, we do also have 3-stage heated rear seats, which are included in the cold weather package. And further below that, you will find 2 charging USB ports as well as a 12-volt power outlet. And the charging USB ports were added last year, so that's nice that that's a feature now. And of course, you do have a fold-down armrest. And of course, I am a big fan of this panoramic moonroof, which really helps to air out the cabin. And in terms of space back here, you are going to find 38 inches of rear legroom and 39 inches of rear headroom, which is pretty much middle of the pack when you compare it to the X3 and Mercedes GLC. And as far as like this seating position for reference, this is scooted all the way back. I have about 3 or 4 inches of rear legroom, and my feet can still slide up underneath the seat. So I think most of your family will be very comfortable back here. And heading around to the tailgate, Audi has nicely thrown in a hands-free power one, standard across the board. So all you have to do is wave your foot under the bumper to open it up. And once you get inside of the trunk of the Q5, you are going to find 27 cubic feet behind the second row seats, and that expands to 60 cubic feet if you fold them. And as far as how that compares to its main rivals, that is actually ahead of the Mercedes GLC as well as Lexus NX. And of course, this is an Audi after all, so they do finish it very nicely. So you do have a cargo cover, some LED lighting, and up underneath the floor here, we do have a spare tire, as well as your levers to fold the 40-20-40 split folding rear seats. And over here at the passenger seat, you do have a standard 8-way power adjusting seat, which is the same as the driver. And in front of the passenger, you do have a quite large glove box. It's actually very surprisingly large. It is felt lined, LED illuminated, and up top you do have a sun visor, mirror and light, and it does also detach and extend. But anyway, guys, that pretty much sums up all of the rear features of this 2020 Q5. So now let's go ahead and take it out on the road and see how it compares to its bigger German rivals like the BMW X3 and Mercedes GLC.
there's our first acceleration in the 2020 Audi Q5. This does continue to have the same powertrain. They've rebranded it to TFSI 45 is what they're now calling it, but it is still the same 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder, making 252 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque. It feels really stout.
0 to 60 is 5.9 seconds.
Yeah, under 6 seconds in this segment is definitely very good.
It's faster than most of the competition.
Right.
And you can definitely feel that. I guess as the torque figure, the 273 pound-feet, it really, really pushes you back in your seat. It's kind of surprising for a crossover like this.
Yeah, all the German competitors are definitely the more powerful feeling in the class. Yeah, the 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, it does a great job. Just like all Volkswagen, Audi dual clutches, really great performance. Super quick shifting, no hesitation, no lag or weird sensations while you're at low speeds and under different types of throttle applications. I would venture to say the average person's not even going to realize that it's a dual clutch versus a traditional automatic, and that's a good thing for a vehicle like this.
And this right here is really what most Q5 owners will be doing mainly, kind of cruising around in the city, maybe taking your kids to school or whatever. And I can tell you that, this car, it does definitely have that as its main focus. I know we talked quite a bit about, its engine performance and how it feels quick and all that, but you can still definitely tell that comfort is the top priority for the Q5, and it really does an exceptional job. There's very little road noise making it into the cabin. The seats are super comfortable, and it really just feels like a very premium and comfortable place to spend time in here.
That's kind of like a long sweeper there as far as a corner, and it does handle it nicely. As you'd expect from a German vehicle, there's a certain level of inherent sportiness to the character, and this does have that, so it stays relatively flat, minimal body roll, especially, like Mason's saying, this is luxury oriented. The steering though is definitely tuned for the around the town, just regular driving, because it is very light. As you can see, it responds quickly, so it's not like incredibly numb or anything, but it is definitely on the very light side of the segment. It just takes extremely little effort to turn the wheel. Now we will try out some other drive modes that can adjust it as well, but it's definitely on the lighter end. Just went ahead and clicked into the dynamic mode to see if we can tell much of a difference. As far as the steering, a little bit of a difference. It's a little bit tighter, a little bit more responsive. The powertrain, though, a lot more substantial a difference. It's really just sets it into a setting where it's ready to go, So you barely get on it, and it's already kicks down, and the power it's there.
And one of the last things that I do want to talk about is the fuel economy for this Q5. So one thing to keep in mind about it is that it does have standard quattro all-wheel drive, as with pretty much any Audi. So you're going to come in at 22 city, 28 highway, 24 combined, which is actually puts it at the top of its class. It's one of the best all-wheel drive offerings in the class, so be sure to keep that in mind if you are looking at some of this competition.
But overall, I have to say that the Q5 remains an excellent choice in this segment. It continues to be very comfortable, very luxurious, reasonably affordable, while also giving you a nice little dose of speed and a little bit of German athleticism that makes it pretty enjoyable to drive.
Alright, so now that you've seen the Q5, let's go ahead and discuss the pricing. You are going to have very competitive pricing, especially when you compare it to its German rivals, and also the fact that all-wheel drive is standard equipment across the Q5 lineup. So for the premium model, you start at $43,300, which is up $300 over last year. However, for the Premium Plus, that now starts at $47,700, which is actually down $2,250, and the Prestige starts at $51,450, which is also down a quite substantial amount of $2,400. So I'm not exactly sure why that price is decreased this year, but that is good news for you guys. Now, as far as how this one is equipped, we have the Premium Plus with a few options added on top of it. So we have the Moonlight Blue exterior for $595. We also have the Bang & Olufsen audio system for $950, the cold weather package for $750, a cargo cover for $255, Audi beam rings for $250, paint protection for $175, and then finally, when you add the destination charge of $995, this particular model as equipped comes in at $53,920, and then for some reason on the sticker they're starting to do some credits or something, so you have a convenience package plus credit and a convenience package credit, which totals to $2,250 off. So the total price for this is $51,670, which, you know, I definitely have to say, with that price decrease for 2020, and also a few of those package credits, I'm seeing that this car is quite a bit more affordable than some of its other German rivals like the Mercedes GLC and BMW X3, and it's really quite an impressive package for barely above $50,000 as equipped. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching this in-depth look at the 2020 Audi Q5. We really appreciate you watching, and if you haven't subscribed already, we'd really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell so you get notified of all of our most recent videos, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.